cars then on the warming up lap for the first race of the afternoon, the pre-War Team Challenge Race. It's going to be a rolling start. In fact, all the races today from a rolling start, and as the name suggests, all of these cars are pre-war cars and divided up into different teams. You've got 3 Aston Martin teams, you've got an Austin 7 team, a Lagonda, and the mixed bunch, which comprises a Jaguar SS100 that's on the outside of the front row. Now, the grid is based on the result of a race that was held yesterday, and that was won by the pole position for this race, Austin 7, the car built in 1927. The man behind the wheel of it is Christian Pedersen, and in this, one of 290,000 Austin 7s ever built. He's the man that lines up on pole position with Tom McWhirter alongside him. If you have a look towards the back of the grid, you will find this man, Tony Armstrong, who drives his Aston Martin with its supercharged engine. It's an Aston Martin Le Mans, runs on methanol. It does 1.5 miles in terms of MPG. It's got the longest racing history of any pre-war Aston. Tony at the back of the grid after dramas in the race yesterday, but he's certainly going to be one to watch in this car. He should, by his own admission, be carving his way through from the back of the field. So there it is, number 7, Tony Armstrong, the man from Macclesfield with the Aston Martin Le Mans, the dentist. Started racing himself in 1980, and is certainly going to be very competitive into his 70s now. He's got the lap record at many circuits for pre-war Aston Martins, so that is one to watch from the back of the grid. Also keep an eye to 55, which is Trevor Sweet on the outside of the second row of the grid in the British Racing Green liveried, ex-Rivers Fletcher Invicta, adding another shape to the grid, and alongside him is the red Aston 1598 two-seater in the hands of Peter Dubsky, the man from Vienna. So we're about to go racing. The cars work their way out of the chicane, up towards the line. The Austin 7 on pole position, dwarfed by everything else around it. The pace car peels into the pit lane. The lights will go out, and so the first race of the afternoon gets underway, and a better start is made by Tom McWhirter then, who grabs the lead on the way down towards Redgate Corner for the first time, and in fact has already been able to gap the rest of them. So in a straight line, Tom McWhirter looking very strong there. A challenge being made by Peter Dubsky up on the inside, but Trevor Sweet is going to hang on to third spot as the cars work their way onto the top of the Craner curves for the first time. So Tom McWhirter, an experienced Aston Martin and Jaguar racer, leads the way, comes down through the Craner curves for the first time, with in second spot Christian Pedersen, and then third Trevor Sweet making good progress. The car drifting its way down through the Craners, heading towards the bottom of the hill into the old hairpin. The next to the Austin 7's Gregan Thurston's car, going through in fourth spot, and Peter Dubsky, in fact, having finished third in yesterday's race, going backwards rather than working his way through to the front. And what progress from Tony Armstrong in number 7, of course, from the back of the grid with the Aston Martin Le Mans with the 1850cc supercharged engine. Still trying to pick off 1 or 2 of those ahead of him. You're on board with him now, and pick them off he does on the inside. Whoops, onto the grass, onto the curb. That's no way to treat a car that dates back to 1933, is it? But he's driving it as hard as expected through McLean's corner now. Great sound as you ride on board then with the Aston Martin Le Mans up towards Coppice Corner. Looks for a gap on the inside, not really close enough, sawing away at the wheel. Tries to find a gap now as they accelerate their way onto Starkey Straight, down towards the chicane for the first time. And it could well be by the end of the opening lap. In fact, Tony Armstrong up into the top 6 from the back of the grid, going great guns here, as up front Tom McWhirter then tries to build an advantage. He turns his way into the chicane for the first time, still being pursued vigorously by the man from pole position, Christian Pedersen, with the Austin 7, and Tony Armstrong then chasing now after Peter Dubsky as they come over the start and finish line. 1 lap in the book, and now Armstrong powers his way through. That's another place picked off as they come past the pits. That puts him up into 6th spot then by the end of the opening lap. He's on the outside line, running down towards Redgate. The next target for him now is going to be Gregan Thurston's Austin 7 Special. And I think he's going to be able to move easily through. He does. He takes the place, takes the line for Redgate Corner. So therefore, the next target is going to be he's going to be Trevor Sweet with the Invicta. You're looking at Tony Armstrong then, up from the back of the grid, and that car now starting to get a bit smoky as well. He's certainly given it a hard workout for the first lap and a half. Now the race leader, Tom McWhirter, had an advantage of very nearly 2 seconds by the end of the opening lap in the Jaguar SS100, the car that grew out of the SS90, with the car being new for the 1938 season with its 3.5 litre engine. Found an extra 22 brake horsepower and was the envy of many who desperately wanted a Jaguar SS100. It was the car that really put Sir William Lyon's company on the map, and across the line then goes McWhirter in the lead. Now, if anything, the battle is on for second place, because you've now got Christian Pedersen trying to fend off John Waterson up from the 4th row of the grid, and John Waterson doing a great job in the Lagonda Rapier, trying to find a way through on the inside there. Is he going to be able to do it? They overlap going into Redgate Corner, and the majestic Lagonda on the inside line tries to move itself through into second place and does so onto the top of the Craner curves. He's done it. He's gone by But behind them, Tony Armstrong, despite that smoke, is lapping quicker than anybody else in the race now. So he's in 4th place, he's 7 seconds away from the race leader, but he's lapping quicker than anybody else out there. So what further progress can Armstrong make? 6 more minutes of the race remain. That's all, as there you can see the stricken car, Peter Dubsky's Aston Martin 1598 two-seater, going no further from the 3rd rank on the grid. A retirement very early on, disappointing for him. Tony Armstrong, though, up from the back of the grid, certainly doing a very good job here. Now, the next target for him is the winner of yesterday's race, Christian Pedersen. You're on board with Armstrong now, up towards McLean's corner, through the right-hander. Powers his way up towards Coppis once again, and you can see the fact that the gap is coming down then between him and Pedersen just up the road. Now, the race leader, Tom McWhirter, lapping last time, just about a 10th slower than Tony Armstrong, who runs a little bit too wide going through Coppis that time. That's going to just compromise the run onto Starkey straight down towards the chicane, but even so, he's got all of that power in a straight line and should therefore be able to close onto the tail of the Austin 7 before much longer. Tom McWhirter working very, very hard behind the wheel of the Jaguar SS100, comes across the line now. 5 minutes of the race to go, so we're bang on half distance. That's 3 laps done, and effectively 3 to go, therefore. And as he goes by, the gap is now 3.6 seconds. And in fact, he's being caught because the man in 2nd place now, which is John Waterson, who was 8th yesterday, is getting closer to the leader all the time. And then the battle for 3rd is about to go the way, there it is, of Tony Armstrong. He moves his way through, up on the inside line, takes 3rd spot away from Christian Pedersen. The smoke is still there. The rather cheeky Austin 7 trying to fight back now as they go through Hollywood and drop down through the Craner curves once again. Superb circuit, Donington. Really excellent part of the track you're looking at now, down through the Craner curves. It's fast, it's flowing, it's very, very popular with the drivers. And there you can see number 7, Tony Armstrong, then now up into 3rd place from stone last on the grid. And the Austin 7 still being pushed as hard as it'll go. Peter Dubsky there, still trying to work on his car, which I don't think the marshals are terribly pleased about. He's a bit close to the edge of the circuit there, shielded by the car to a point, but I think they'd rather like him to walk away from that. Peter Dubsky wanting to get to the bottom of whatever the problem is. Tony Armstrong, in the meantime, wants to get onto the back now, if he can, of John Waterson, but he's not lapping quite as fast as number 99 in 2nd place. So John Waterson's Lagonda Rapier now catching Tom McWhirter, the race leader, and 3 3/4 minutes of the race remain. Can he get there in time? That's the next question. In 5th place, number 55, Trevor Sweet with the Invicta, the ex-Rivers Fletcher car. There it is, coming up now through Coppis corner. And a great sight these cars make. Skinny tyres, the cars slide, they drift around, and Tom McWhirter then accelerating his way up out of the chicane now, over the timing line once again. 3 minutes and 20 seconds remain, and the back of that car, with effectively 4 tyres on it, goes over the line, with that being the best lap of the race. Now, Tom McWhirter is responding to the challenge of those behind, but Tony Armstrong has just lapped over a second faster than anybody else. Now, he's got, I reckon, 2 more laps in which to do this. Can he get himself up into the lead of the race? It's 4.7 seconds first to 3rd. McWhirter trying to pull away from John Waterson, who in turn is being reeled in now by Tony Armstrong. It's all building up nicely, this. The first of 2 pre-War Team Challenge races of the day. I hesitate because I'm not convinced that was a very healthy engine note from Tony Armstrong's car as he got through Hollywood there. Has that smoke that we saw early on started to manifest itself into a problem? Goes down through the old hairpin. Just starting to sound ever so slightly rattly, that, isn't it? Up towards Schwant's curve. Tony Armstrong pushing on as hard as he can, but it doesn't sound quite as healthy as once it did. Struggling now to make much further progress up onto the tail of John Waterson's car. Goes up towards Coppis, although this section of the circuit does look a little bit nearer into the braking zone for Coppis through that double apex right-hander. Is there another place to be gained here by Tony Armstrong? Comes through Coppis now. Grabs a gear right up alongside the Lagonda Rapier and powers his way through into 2nd place now. So Tony Armstrong continues to go well, and there is going to be 1, maybe even 2 laps to shake out of this. Let's just see where the race leader is when he comes across the line relative to the clock. The flying lap is a 1 minute 39. Over the line now goes the race leader. Well, 1 minute and 38 on the clock, and a flying lap is a 1 minute 36. They might just be able to squeeze 2 more laps out of this. The gap now then between Tom McWhirter, the race leader, and from the back of the grid, there he is, Tony Armstrong in 2nd place, is 3 seconds. The gap coming down and down. That time, forget any fear of a problem, despite that smoke that's still evident. Armstrong doing another best lap of the race. and going a second and a half quicker than those ahead of him. So he's getting closer and closer all the time to Tom McWhirter, who has led since the race got underway. Is he going to be denied right at the very end? He goes through the old hairpin. There in second place is Tony Armstrong then. The dentist doing a fantastic job, filling second place, having worked his way up from the back of the grid. And then in third place, trying to stay with the leaders, is John Waterson. Well in and among the back markers though now is Tom McWhirter as he works his way up towards McLean's corner. Just gone past Alan Hudd's Aston Martin speed model there. So race leader Tom McWhirter. Quick check in the mirror to see where the opposition is. 3 seconds back is the answer, certainly at the start of the lap. Is Tony Armstrong going to get there in time? Out of copies now, 30 seconds are on the clock. Are they going to be able to wring one more lap out of this? Coming down now towards the chicane, keeping an eye to where the man with the checkered flag is, whether he's going to be ready this time or they'll get one more lap out of the race. Out of copies then, past the museum on the outside of the circuit at Coppy's corner, and Tom McWhirter has got 13 seconds still on the clock as he comes down towards the chicane. He may escape for one more lap, but that may go against him because that's another lap in which he could be caught by the charging Tony Armstrong. Let's see, up towards the line, the flag is ready. Is it going to be shown this time? Yes, it is. Bang on cue with 0 seconds to spare. The flag goes out just in the nick of time. The gap did come down by only 1/10 of a second on that last lap, in fact. So Tom McWhirter takes the race win. 2.9 seconds for the good. Tony Armstrong from the back of the grid finishes in a great second place. Third goes the way of John Waterson, and poleman Christian Pedersen finishes in fourth. This car, the Invicta, is going to be fifth in the hands of Trevor Sweet. Comes up now towards the line. He's had a rather lonely race, in fact, given the battles that most people have had in front of him. But Trevor Sweet comes through now for fifth spot, and sixth is going to go the way of Greg Thurston here, coming up towards the line in the second of the Austin 7 Specials. Gregor Thruston then now up towards the line, and he in turn is still being chased hard by Christopher Scott McCurdy, who goes through behind him, and the gap between those two just over a second at flagfall. But the Jaguar SS 100 takes the first race of the day. Tom McWhirter the driver, and there from the back of the grid in second place Tony Armstrong. And poor old Peter Dubsky, the man from Vienna, still trying to work out exactly what he can do on that front left corner to cure the problem and get that car back out for the second race of the day for the pre-War Team Challenge a little bit later on. Well, there is Tom McWhirter's Jaguar SS 100, somewhat dominant display. You see the trick that he has at the rear of the car with the double sets of tyres there. So Tom McWhirter victorious, second Tony Armstrong. In fact, Tom McWhirter still pushing on. It almost makes you wonder whether he'd spotted the checkered flag. He did come out just as he was up to the line because the clock hit 0 as he was powering his way over the timing line. So did he actually see it? As he treated this as another racing lap, he may well have done. Tom McWhirter the winner, Tony Armstrong second. Jaguar defeats Aston Martin. Lagonda third for John Waterson. The Austin 7 Special fourth of Christian Pedersen. Trevor Sweet's Invicta S-Type fifth, and Gregor Thruston rounds out the top 6. We go racing at Donington Park once again because the cars work their way out of the chicane. Tony Armstrong's car was a little bit smoky at the end of the earlier race. The Aston Martin Le Mans then on the outside of row 1. He's still smoky, so there's no change there. And as they head off down towards Redgate, Tom McWhirter makes the best start. He leads the way. You're riding on board here with Tony Armstrong, who almost goes towards pit exit there. So wide does he go? Can he go around the outside of the Jaguar? He's got his nose not quite in front. Tom McWhirter just hangs on in there. That was brave stuff by Armstrong, though.
Absolutely. Just back to the smoking of that car. I think it's the old adage when they say when it stops smoking, it's time to worry because there's no oil left.
And a problem already.
99 already.
That's John Waterson. Now this is the lead battle then. You've got up front just Tom McWhirter, the man from pole position. Tony Armstrong looking for a way past him. There's a sort of gap on the inside at McLean's, but does Tony commit? Yes, he does. McWhirter goes very, very, very wide. Exit stage left. I think he's run out of road completely.
I just gave it to him, didn't he? Unfortunately, that was Tony was lining it up and obviously having a little look down the inside to intimidate, to threaten, but then McWhirter just seemed to run wide, as you say, almost outbraked himself and completely missed the turning point, and just gifted it to Tony Armstrong.
Not enough tyres, you see. Needs more on the front.
Exactly. Yeah, too much grip on the rear.
Quite. So
next time out, don't me. I want to see 4 on the front. Don't.
Other way around. So now that gives you a different leader. Tony Armstrong then leads the way, but the pace that Tom McWhirter showed in the earlier race suggests he might be able to come back at him, and he has. They're together coming into the chicane. These two gapping everybody else, but McWhirter now has got to keep his cool. He can't afford to make any more. Okay, now there's yesterday's winner, Christian Pedersen with the Austin 7 Special, dwarfed by everything else around, but that is still a very competitive little car.
You wouldn't want to have a Bentley alongside you with that. It would be really scary, wouldn't it? The sheer size of the wheels alone would put you off, but and you think they're not brave? They most certainly are.
Now this gap, 1.3, I thought it was going up. Peter thinks it's coming down. Moment of truth, because they come over the timing line. 1.319. 1.319, 1.356. It's gone up by thousandths.
Okay, so you win.
Just.
You win, but
Okay.
just. Only just. Now, again, Tony Armstrong, as he comes down the pit straight there on the exit, he goes right over into the pit exit, over the blue lining there, and gets it complete. I've never seen that done before in anything.
We've got 5 minutes to go, but even though these are the oldest cars at the meeting, they're still competitive. We're still having some good racing as they work their way now down towards the chicane, and that gap is coming down, isn't it?
Look at the power the Invictus got down the straight, but of course he's got so much more mass to suddenly physically stop, although that doesn't appear to bother him. Wheels twitching,
vibrating,
absolutely there. Just, I mean, you think they're not committed, they most certainly are as any other people in this race.
Tremendous spectacle, this. Now, Armstrong speeding up again, would you believe, despite what we thought might be a misfire. The gap's gone up to 2 seconds. Going to gain that car quivering under braking. Tom McWhirter trying to close the gap down as they come through the chicane. Right, 1 minute and 57 are on the clock. Here they come, over the timing line. And the pace, I think, is going to be quicker this time around. The leaders go through that. The best lap of the race, a 1:35.8.
A retirement to the pits there. Alan Hudd, number 51 in the speed model, straight into the pits and going straight into the garage. Just saw that come in front of us there.
More traffic to negotiate.
Oh, and Armstrong's off. Armstrong's run wide at Redgate, completely off. That must allow McWhirter through. Yes, he does. McWhirter gets through. Tony Armstrong straight off at Redgate there. Just seemed to understeer off. He is right back on the move. He's trying to make a race of it. I don't know. He did say he knows it's for television, so maybe he's taking his opportunity.
Well, that's 1-1, isn't it, in terms of mistakes? McWhirter at McLean's, Armstrong at Redgate. So I reckon they're going to get another lap out of this, because that fastest lap is about a second quicker than in the earlier. So it is a faster race generally, and the pace is going to be up to gain on this lap. But he's got the lead back, coming down towards the chicane. Goes straight off again, over the curb. 20 seconds of the race to go. Back onto the circuit. So big dramas here for Tony Armstrong. That's going to do the car no good at all. The leaders are now side by side over the timing line. Tom McWhirter is back in front now.
Not for long, not for long. I
Tony
think Armstrong's got it down the inside. There's a back marker there. Oh, and that's good. That's the Radgon on McWhirter's car, pumping water out. They're literally out of the top of the cap. So that's that game over. So Tom McWhirter's car, now that's going to almost stop exactly in the middle of Redgate. That's going to, he's pulling it off out of the side of the way. Brilliant, out of the way.
Great shame, though, because that car was going so well.
See it, literally just the rad just blew.
Just blew, didn't it? Yeah, and that was building up to be a really good last lap battle. So he's only got the chicane and this straight to go, and then the flag is in sight. So it's going to be a rather fortunate win, potentially, for Tony Armstrong. You've got to say he's deserved this. Up from the back of the grid in the earlier race to second, and it's been a real yo-yo race, this, hasn't it? One of the more lively of the day.
He does deserve it. He didn't make it easy for himself, did he?
He the chicane right this time, though.
Yeah.
At a reduced pace. Comes up to the checkered flag and be very relieved to see that. Tony Armstrong wins the final pre-war team challenge race of the weekend. Celebrates in style. Now he's going to do a slowing down lap. Now here for second place in the end is going to be the winner of yesterday's race, the Austin 7 Special for Christian Pedersen. Tony Armstrong is the winner, Christian Pedersen second, and John Waterson third, despite a spin at the first corner. Trevor Sweet finishing in fourth, Peter Devsky in fifth, finishing this time, which is good news for him, and Gregan Thruston sixth in the Austin 7 Special at the end of the final pre-war team race of the weekend.
Tony, that didn't look particularly easy. There were a lot of problems.
He didn't give me an easy ride, Tom. He gave me a hard ride. I thought, well, I'll just get past him on the start line and that'll be the end of it. But it was quite tough. And I had to overtake him. I got past him, and then I spun off at the first corner. Yep. And he got past me. Then I had to pass him again. But at least I did pass him before his engine expired. A lot of steam came out of it, but I did at least pass him again before that. But I went off in the chicane quite badly, so it was hard work, yeah. But,
yeah, it was an incident-packed race, I think it's fair to say.
I think one would say that, being talking about it in very mild terms, yes.
Now, just tell us, did you have a problem with the car? Because we heard it not revving properly, didn't change gear for a while.
No, I didn't have any problems. It's probably just me making a mess of it. I can't really remember. Yeah, no problem at all. I am very old, you see, so things like that are apt to happen.
You didn't make a mess of it because you won, so
indeed,
that makes it all okay.
Yes, indeed, yes, thank you.
Well, congratulations,
Thank
a brilliant drive. Let's get your garland in and go celebrate.
Yes, splendid, absolutely marvellous. I shall drink all of it.